All right, CR, this movie came out. We knew each other.
Yeah,
we were at
2014.
Grantland.
Yeah.
And Wesley Morris skewered this movie, and then you did a blog post, and you really liked it.
I loved it.
You guys were like Jack and who was the other guy in Lost?
Oh, Jack and Sawyer.
Jack and Locke. Yeah, Jack and Sawyer.
Jack and Locke. Yeah.
And you've been nudging me on this movie for years.
Yeah,
and
I just
I'm like 2/3 of the way there for a while, and then I caught it last year, and it finally fell into place. And then I watched it twice this week, and now I'm all in.
It's about a bunch of stuff that we like.
Yeah,
Genius, writing, gambling, and college hoops. So it's already got a bunch of stuff that we're interested in, but it's one of those weird, mid 2010s movies that we would call like 5 o'clockers that at like on a Friday at Grantland or whatever, we would kind of like cut out a little bit early and then go see something over at the movie theater right by LA Live. And this was one that just kind of came and went. Like even with Wahlberg, it didn't really like make much of an impact either commercially or critically, but it's kind of like, at least for me, lived on. And I go back to it really often just to see just how fucking weird it is at times.
Yeah, I remember he passed through the whole Grantland universe because he really promoted this.
Yeah.
And he did
I
my
think he
podcast.
thought this was like an Oscar movie.
Yeah, he lost all this weight for it. I remember being excited because he did the podcast, and he never really talked about Boogie Nights that much. But during the podcast, I asked about Boogie Nights because we were doing oral history for it. We were able to grab what he said and put it in there. But he was really confident this was going to be a big movie, and it just wasn't. But now it has this whole second life, and it's been on cable a lot. And I also think it's one of those movies you really do have to watch a few times. And I think it feels like a cop-out, but I don't think it is because there's a lot of themes in this movie.
It's mostly a movie about ideas. I know people might laugh at like a Mark Wahlberg gambling movie being a movie of ideas, but this is based on a James Toback film from the 70s, but is also based on a Dostoevsky book. And most of the scenes are not about like dramatic tension of what's going to happen. They're about 2 or 3 characters exchanging their points of view and their ideas about like how to live honestly, what people need to do to live successfully. And I think that winds up rewarding on multiple viewings. It's also strangely a movie that you kind of sometimes need to have subtitles on for.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mumbling, but there's also a lot of really dense dialogue and dense speechifying. So it's just one of those things that if you have it on and on, you kind of get more out of it.
It also has a fundamental question, which we've been sitting with for 30 years now with Mark Wahlberg as an actor. Because you could make a case he's the perfect actor for this movie.
Yeah.
And you could make a case that there's 20 actors you would rather have in this movie.
Yes.
And that his limitations as an actor and for what he's willing to do and not do in a movie hold this movie back, or it's perfect. And I don't really know where I've landed on that.
This is kind of like, this is the road not taken for Wahlberg. Like this is The Diggler, this is Departed, this is doing prestigious stuff, working with really good scripts. And he has since kind of almost at this moment gone in a completely different direction where
because it didn't work. Now it's like, all right, let's do some
I'll crank out
stuff.
like 2 family movies and an action movie every year. And that's kind of like what he's sort of done with the rest of his professional career, along with obviously like fitness training regimen stuff and supplements and exercise gear. So I feel like this was actually like his last stand of being taken seriously as an actor.
Yeah, I'm in conflict in so many ways with this because this is an English major movie. As you know, I hate English majors.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of big, pretentious themes, and it's trying to do a lot of stuff, which instantly I'm against. I really do like Mark Wahlberg. I also don't know if he's that interested in going to certain places, and it's hard. And I've seen this movie now a bunch of times. It's hard not to imagine. I'll just step on a casting couch now. This to me would have been the perfect Bernthal movie.
Oh my God, dude.
Like just perfect. This is everything I would have wanted from a Bernthal movie. The character would have made more sense to me. But I also think like to step on a casting what if later, Leo was initially attached. And I'm like, I kind of like that direction too. But on the other hand, so the rewatchable side of me, the 5 o'clocker side of me, the unintentional comedy side of me, I kind of love Wahlberg in this because there's moments where I'm not with him, but that's what's fun about it. We're like, oh man, Mark Wahlberg just didn't have it here. But then other moments where he's really good.
You could make the argument that I mean, honestly, we could sit here for half an hour listing actors who probably would have nailed this. Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, Mark Ruffalo, like so many different actors who probably
Ruffalo would have been a really good one.
probably would have been able to bring a little bit more familiarity with the teaching segments specifically. But there's something so weird about Wahlberg talking about Shakespeare and whether or not Shakespeare actually authored his plays and Camus and like The Stranger. And when he's like doing that stuff, you're like, he's trying so hard to be believable. And he apparently spent like all this time watching professors do lectures that it gives it this like otherworldly quality. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and he also has a very strange haircut. Everything about it is a very non-Wahlberg performance.
Yeah.
The way he handles the gambling scenes is just stupid. It's everything he's doing is some sort of weird Wahlberg choice that I kind of like.
Yeah.
But I almost wonder, was this a better part for somebody else? Because the remake, the original movie, the James Caan movie, it's just a classic James Caan swagger part. Like just him being James Caan.
It's part of like a constellation of Caan parts, like the Thief movie.
Godfather 1, Thief, Rollerball, all these movies where he's just like James Caan swinging around. He might get the shit kicked out of him anytime. He might kick the shit out of somebody else.
Yeah.
Don't leave your wife or your girlfriend with them. Just machismo all the time. And Wahlberg, it's probably closest to Dirk Diggler. Yeah. And it's funny because he lost all this weight for the movie, so he actually has the Dirk Diggler face, but he's got this weird hairdo. And I feel like he wants to go to this crazy place here. But yet, really, the only time he breaks down is the beginning of the movie when he's saying goodbye to his grandfather.
There's that. There's the scene in Amy's apartment where he like tells her what he wants when she jumps him.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Everything else, the whole point of this character, Jim Bennett, is that he just tells the truth. And it's actually like a really incredible, dramatic, not invention of the film, but like a thing to do is just, what if you had a character who was just always telling the truth, more or less? He actually doesn't really even lie to the bookies. Like,
yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to think, did he try to fib out anybody? Never.
No, I mean, you could say at the end with the Lamar stuff, he doesn't tell all the truth, but he is telling the truth. I mean, he is being honest. When Lamar is like, when he goes to talk to Lamar, it's not like he's just like, you can do it for the money for you, but don't worry about me. Like, it's going to happen either way for me.
All right, so let's get English majory then.
Okay.
So is this a movie about somebody with a gambling problem? Is it somebody who's self-destructive? Is it a movie about genius? Is it a movie about all of these things? What is it?
I think it's a movie about a guy who wants to obliterate himself to rebuild himself. And I think one of the coolest things about this movie is that there is no discernible trauma to this character that he is trying to recover from. Like multiple characters confront him with that idea. You know, like Brie Larson's character is like, did you not have, like, you have no problems, so you had to invent them for yourself. John Goodman is like, oh, you're suicidal. Like, Michael K. Williams is always asking him, like, what his problem is.
Yeah, like, you're a good-looking guy, normal family, you have money.
I think he's a character who, by all accounts throughout the film, wants to live, like, this ecstatic, special life. And because he doesn't feel that way, he's just going to destroy the life he has. Like, the idea of being, like, relatively happy. Honestly, the entire fuck you speech, I don't think that to him wouldn't be happiness. To have like a 30-year mortgage, a reliable car, money in the bank that's paying 3% to 5%. That's not what he wants. He wants to like feel things on a massive level. He wanted maybe to be a novelist, but knows he's not good enough. And so now he's like destroying the thing he is to feel anything at all.
Yeah, like he would rather have Jameis Winston as his quarterback.
That is honestly exactly right. He wants to see a guy throw for 150 yards to the other team than see Jalen Hurts.
Would you rather have Joe Burrow or
down.
Jameis? And he's like, I would love Jameis. Yeah. I would love the roller coaster ride he's on. Yeah, because I mean, we'll dive into some of his blackjack.
I feel like it's incidental to the movie.
He's stacking.
Yeah.
So when you stack, you're on a death wish.
Yeah.
You're basically like, I'm trying to win everything I can or go broke.
Yes.
And that's it. So he loses all that money. And then I guess my problem with the film, which isn't really a problem, but he's just losing all this money. So he kind of seems like he wants to be murdered.
He wants to either be reborn or die. Yeah, like
But
he
there's
either,
no path for him being reborn because he's just losing crazy amounts of money that he's not going to be able to pay back.
yeah. I mean,
But then he meets Brie Larson, and it feels like that's given him a shred of hope that he's like, maybe I should get out of this.
yeah, he's like, I
Otherwise,
can
he's on
feel
a
something
suicide
here.
wish,
I
basically.
actually feel drawn to you. Like even in the conversation that they have in the classroom, he's basically like, physiology is the only thing that I can't explain. He's obviously like getting closer and closer and closer to her. So he feels like, obviously, like this is the first thing that's come along in a while that makes me want to be anything else than what I am.
It's like how Doug Peterson just goes for it on every 4th and 5. He's like, I can't feel anymore. I'm going to do this QB rollout with Trevor Lawrence. It's the only way I can feel anything anymore. Yeah, so this movie's, the big themes are like, to be or not to be.
Yeah.
All or nothing.
Yes.
What's the point of all of this? If you're not a genius,
Don't try.
Is it worth even, should you just be an electrician at that point? It feels like everything they're trying to say in the movie is the first speech he gives to the class.
Yes.
Where he basically eviscerates the entire class. Then he points out to the Brie Larson character, and she's like, this is the only one who has a chance.
Yeah. And he's like, if you were Shakespeare, because they're talking about whether or not the works of Shakespeare were actually authored by somebody else. And like the kid in the class is like, oh, do you think it's because, the Earl of Oxford? And he was just like, if you wrote Hamlet, can you imagine not putting your name on Hamlet? Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, there's only like 5 of these people, 20 of these people, 100 of these people. Like everybody else is playing for scraps. Everybody else is kind of lying to themselves. And he's like, I won't lie to myself. It's just a very unique character for both him and for a 2014 movie to kind of present to us.
This seems like the kind of movie, if you could have said, what script are you jealous of? This would have been a script for you.
Monahan's kind of one of my guys. So
Yeah.
Monahan wrote Kingdom of Heaven, which is this Ridley Scott movie that's incredible if you see the Ridley Scott director's cut. He wrote The Departed.
Yep.
And he did this. And then he's had some ups and downs since then with like movies that he's tried to direct and do work on. But this is just a riff movie. Like every character in here is just like, hey man, here's like 3 pages of stuff to just riff on.
Yeah.
Doesn't really even like, the first time he goes and sees Goodman, you're just like, what was the point of that? You know what I mean? You didn't take his money that he offered you. But they're just podcasting. They're just vibing with each other.
Yeah, you have multiple characters who definitely wouldn't be this deep in real life. And yet all of them are super deep.
Yes.
Even like the college basketball player, like really self-aware, just has some awesome thoughts.
Yes.
Then you go to John
He's
Goodman.
definitely been moved by the stranger. Yeah.
John Goodman, who's just a murderer.
Yeah.
He has these deep thoughts about the position of fuck you. And then the Michael K. Williams character, same thing. Like really interested in human connection.
Yeah.
And the reasons why people do shit. I'm not sure real life works that way, but that's what makes this movie so fun.
Yeah, I
It's
think
this alternate universe of what the gambler would be.
right. And there's also like, I think for people, one of the reasons why it was disappointing is that exactly what you're saying about stacking is that there's actually not a lot of juice to the gambling scenes.
And that was my biggest disappointment the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't really I was so ready for gambling shit. And I also really liked the James Caan movie, and it was so different than that from a sense of what it was trying to do.
Sure.
That I just had trouble with it. And then it would pop on and be like, all right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I kind of like that. Brie Larson.
Well, because
she's
it's
a much bigger star now.
The card playing is boring, but what he's saying during the card playing is kind of interesting. Like
you must be new here.
There is no limit.
Also, he's delivering all his lines like Andy Samberg doing the impression of him. Say hi to your mother for me.
Yeah.
He's got this like weird edge to his everything. It's such a weird, this would be a really fun Oscar to hand out every year. Like this is a weird one for you.
Yeah, this was a weird one.
Yeah, here we go with that. It's a weird one for you category. Just people kind of going sideways of the movie.
I also wonder whether part of the reason why you and I like this movie is that it is if Den of Thieves is like the JV version of Heat,
yeah,
this is kind of the JV version of Thief and maybe like Collateral. Cool LA movie.
Yeah.
Guy with an open shirt collar.
I would have thrown in Rounders,
yeah,
too.
but I mean specifically like the Michael Mann, like there's like they use like the deep synth kind of score here a bunch of times. And it kind of gives you a little bit of that feeling of driving around LA or running around LA in the end. And having this kind of breakthrough moment in this weird city. But it's not quite as good as those films.
Well, it has one other element that you and I both love is when movies create this little mini world inside a city we already think we know.
Yeah.
And it's like you're going downstairs or you're parking your car and you're getting out. And it seems like you're valeting for a party, but actually you're going into this whole crazy secret blackjack world or like this whole secret card world. And just this whole underbelly, kind of the high class underbelly, which I think John Wick really nailed in a great way. Where John Wick's like, we're taking the high class underbelly to a whole other level with Continental.
There's obviously in Heat, there's BJ's on Alvarado, the nightclub that Al Pacino goes to. And I feel like Rupert Wyatt and William Monahan, when they made this movie, were like, we have to double down on BJ's on Alvarado.
Oh,
so
totally.
like when he goes to the Koreatown card playing like casino at the end, he goes through like an internet cafe, an opium den, a noodle bar,
right?
And then he gets to the casino.
Well, that Rounders place too, the place the Russian with the Chesterfield.
Anytime a guy walks into a pretty nondescript place and then takes an elevator somewhere, Michael Clayton, Rounders, we go into a back room that then also has a back room, I'm in.
And there's some sort of hot waitress or cash register person who has that look like, uh-oh, he's back. And you just kind of know what you're in for right away. But
she's also like a philosophy major. Yeah.
And also totally ready to hook up with him again. It's such a strange Wahlberg movie. It made me think like, what are my favorite Wahlberg movies? What's my relationship with Wahlberg in general? Because we've now had him for 3 decades and he's been in a lot of stuff. He's in one of my favorite movies ever, Boogie Nights, which I think is probably still my favorite Wahlberg. But he's also in a lot of other stuff I like The Italian Job. Fear's a super weird movie. The Fighter, 2010.
Yeah, I mean, The Yards, I Heart Huckabees.
Patriots Day.
He does a lot of for the first 10 years, 15 years of his career, was still searching around for that. The
Departed.
Yeah, I think he was kind of not on Christian Bale's track, but was
he wasn't
I want
to
do
actor.
These kinds of roles though.
Yeah, it was somewhere like Damon and DiCaprio both turned this part down, and next stop was Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Could he have done The Bourne Identity? He probably could have.
Now after this, pretty much after Gambler, he more or less does a couple of Pete Berg movies where he's kind of doing,
yeah, he's doing
prestige
paycheck movies
acting,
after this.
But Deepwater Horizon. And then after that, it's Transformers, Daddy's Home, Mile 22,
My
Spencer
kids like
Confidential. He makes 2 or 3 movies a year. There's one family one and one thriller or action movie.
And he does Ted 2 years before this, which is a really funny movie that had, had some legs.
Did you do a Ted Rewatchables?
Not yet.
Okay.
But that was a weird choice. So there's a sense of humor with him, but I also am not positive he has a sense of humor.
I think it's a very...
Because I remember he was really mad about the Sandberg thing, and he had to come on the next week, and he made fun of Sandberg back because he was pissed. It seemed like he was going to fight him. Say hi to your mother for me. He also, before he did this, he sought the blessing of James Caan.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Jimmy Caan was like,
Jimmy, Mark Wahlberg here. How are you?
There's a dead man on the other end of this phone.
Jimmy Caan's like, don't do it. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. They already paid me.
Yeah, Toback wasn't happy about this either. I don't think.
I wasn't happy about it when I heard about it. Because, anything mid-70s on, if it's still watchable, I'm always going to have my guard up. But they did really make it different than the original in a lot of ways.
There's also just, I think for me, Michael K. Williams has passed on, but this is one of those movies where the star keeps walking into scenes where he's getting his doors blown off by the other guy in the scene.
Even Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Brie Larson, Michael K. Williams, Goodman, even Dom from Entourage, whatever that guy's
Mr.
name
Lee's
is.
really good.
Yeah, he's a good.
Jessica Lange.
Jessica Lange's good. You're right. He's always it feels like he's the second best actor in 9 scenes.
I think Emery Cohen cooks him a little bit, in a good way, but that character is really cool.
Well, Goodman's incredible in this. And this is Goodman has put together so many just awesome, memorable supporting parts.
Yes.
That I almost feel like that's a bigger part of his legacy now for me than Roseanne. Even though Roseanne was one of the biggest shows of the 90s.
One of the great character actors of all time.
But nobody's talking about Roseanne in 2024. But I think some of these movies that he's in, that he just is able to just kind of fly into like a gust of wind.
Yeah.
And he could just, what's he in, 3 scenes in this movie?
Literally.
Like 3.5.
He does the one in the bathhouse, the one
Yeah.
at the horse track, and then one at the end when he shows up at the Koreatown place.
I don't think he's ever been nominated for an Oscar.
Has
Probably
he
won
not
some
been?
Emmys. I don't think so. Probably won some comedy Emmys once upon a time, but it's a great movie for him. It's a great movie for Michael K. Williams, aka Omar.
Yep.
Who really hit a nice stretch after The Wire when he would pop up with stuff and you would be delighted to see him. Did he win or no?
He did not.
Yeah.
You're right.
So based on Dostoevsky's novel originally, kind of, sort of. I researched this and it really doesn't seem like it's based on a lot.
Did you I think it also like draws heavily from The Stranger and the idea of like an existential sort of mindset. Yeah.
What was the closest you came to him in this movie? You're just ready to throw it all away. Was there a Newbery Comics moment?
I think when Ryan Howard tore his Achilles. I was like, fucking take it. Yeah.
So directed by Rupert Wyatt, really well.
Yeah.
This is, I think, a superbly made movie and turns out to be like one of the peaks of his career. And I think he was a promising director that seemed like it went sideways.
Yeah, he did a Planet of the Apes movie. He did this. And then has kind of like done some sci-fi stuff, but has kind of fallen out of
Had
like
some
the
scandal
rotation.
stuff with Kristen Stewart.
No, actually, that was Rupert Sanders.
Oh, that was a different
Rupert?
Rupert?
Different Rupert.
Damn, I got my Ruperts mixed up.
That was my fault. I told you that, and I was like, oh wait, I gotta double check this. He also, this is shot by Greg Fraser, who's one of like the 4 or 5 best cinematographers. Like LA looks awesome. There's some great photography in this.
Yeah, LA looks so awesome. I had trouble figuring out where we were in almost every scene.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where he lives, where Jim's
Could
place
not
is.
figure it out.
Topanga, maybe?
Couldn't figure it out.
He's got that little like
even
on
where he's
stilts
running
place.
all the way through the end, I could only figure out. It kind of seemed like he ended up at our office.
Yeah, well, I think he's in.
That would have been weird.
He's supposed to be in Koreatown, but it seems like he's running through downtown Los Angeles to get back to like a little bit north of MacArthur.
I'll tell you this: that is a much more action-packed run than maybe they made it seem in the movie. $25 million budget, made $33 million. Here's what Wesley Morris wrote for Grantland. Shout out to Wesley, who's been on this podcast many times. Mark Wahlberg's grown so much in the last 15 years that you forget his limitations. He still can't show you what's happening inside a character. He needs dialogue. He needs somewhere to run. The Gambler gives him both, but they're both terrible. The dialogue never leaves the surface, and the running across LA happens in the last sequence. It's supposed to thrill you, but it's such a cliche that your embarrassment extends to the crew member has to follow with the camera as Wahlberg chugs along. Wasn't a fan.
Wesley, tell him how you really feel.
I wonder if like 10 years later Wesley's like, no, I kind of like it now. Because he's done that with some other ones. Roger Ebert was sadly not alive.
RogerEbert.com gave this 2 stars.
Well, I had to do ChatGPT Roger Ebert. I know you hate this.
It's unethical.
Why is it unethical?
It's a sin. He's dead. You can't ask a robot to imitate him.
Wanted to find out.
Don't do this to me.
He said, ChatGPT said probably 2.5 to 3 stars. Ebert was known for his sharp eye with character-driven dramas and his appreciation for films that explored moral complexity and self-destruction. Not wrong. Why are you so nervous? He was often skeptical of remakes and tended to hold them to a high standard. True.
Yeah.
He may have praised Mark Wahlberg's committed performance, but questioned whether the character of Jim Bennett was as richly drawn or compelling as Axel Fried in the original. In summary, Ebert's review would have likely been a thoughtful balance of praise for its ideas and critique of its execution.
That sounds about right.
The robots are coming for us.
He
Chris
would have
Ryan.
been a little annoyed about them remaking a 70s, cult classic.
Yeah, during a time that 74 to 77 stretch when it feels like all of those movies just should not be touched.
Yeah.
Did you do? Are you 3 Days of a Condor TV show?
The TV show?
Yeah.
I watched a bit of it. Yeah, I thought it was cool, but it was just like that's one of the great 70s movies.
Yeah, I won't watch it.
Okay.
I'll watch Carry On though with Evil Jason Bateman.
based on Alan Pakula's.
It's got a bag.
Yeah.
All right, most rewatchable scene. This movie just kicks right in.
Opening
Let's go
blackjack.
gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah, no opener, no like him at a Dodger game playing in the day. No coffee house scene, no him. He's just gambling right away.
Tell me if I got this right. Walks in with 10 grand.
Yep.
Goes up 80. blows it. Now owes 240.
Well, I want to talk about the gambling because
Okay.
of course, we're going to have to. Obviously, I love blackjack.
Yeah.
So he's stacking from 10. He wins on a 19. Fair. 15 against a king. Hits, which I would hit too, gets a 6, 21. So now he's up
Yes.
10 and 20. So now he's up 40. 15 against a 13. He stays, which I think is the right move.
And
Bust.
he gets like a face card, right? Like he gets like a 10.
Yeah,
right.
He stays. Dealer gets the face card. Bust. So now he's up 80. At that point, you've won four in a row.
Mhm.
You'd be like, that was great. You're probably taking half the bet scaling back. He's like fucking all in. 14 hits, busts. Starting over. Gets mad at the dealer. Double it. You must be new. Double it. Gets a 9 against a 5. Gets an ace. Stays on 20. And then anyone who loves blackjack knows what happened next. Dealer gets the 15
21,
and the
yeah.
6. Now all of a sudden he's down, what, 150?
Yeah, he owes 240, and then he borrows 50 grand from Neville, from Michael K. Williams at 20 points interest.
Can we just call him Omar for the rest of the podcast or no? Michael K? I'll call him Michael K. He earned the Michael K. Michael K says, it's an unequal general situation.
What does he say? It's a losing proposition, and he's like, so's life.
Yeah, he says, this is what Wahlberg says, life's a losing proposition, you might as well get used to it.
Yeah.
So when he says that, you're like, all right, this guy's fucking suicide pact with
Yeah.
himself with gambling.
So he gives Mr. Lee 40K, and he keeps 10 to gamble.
Leads me to the next. It's a small rewatchable, but Mr. Lee says, your luck is no good tonight. You came in with 10,000 in cash. You didn't give it to me. And Wahlberg says, well, this is a gambling establishment. You owe me $240,000. I want it in 7 days. And what happens? He takes the 10K.
Mm-hmm.
Gets 21 and 20.
Gets a new dealer.
New dealer, 21 and 20. Wins the first 2. Gets a 12 sheet bust. So he's won the first 3 hands. He's back kind of on the road again. And
Yeah, he also has one of my favorite lines in the movie where she goes, it's for your protection. And he goes, you don't come here for protection. You don't come here for protection from yourself. You come here for the fucking opposite.
Yeah.
So deal the cards.
Right. Well, first he goes to the Pippa. Don't look at him. There's no limit. Fuck my protection. Please deal the cards.
I didn't know Jim Bennett was from fucking Southie.
I'm giving him the Southie. I'm giving him the Departed accent. Please deal the cards.
Yeah.
Fucking act.
Fucking Belichick.
So Blackjack turns 80K into 200K and then decides to take it over the roulette wheel, which is yet another. So he's just clearly trying to
he's up
go
160 or whatever,
Yeah.
and he goes and bets on black and loses. Fucking masterpiece scene. I could watch that 10 minutes over and over and over again.
Goes on black. Michael K goes, it's been coming up red all night. It's like, all right, fine, black. And that's it. Really enjoyable. It's like 20 minutes all the way through. We get to meet some characters. Great stuff.
Mr. Lee's Casino seems to be on the PCH. Get the ocean view. Maybe a little bit in. Palisades? I don't know. Is there a lot of illegal gambling establishments?
I was thinking a little like slightly seedy Venice.
It's in the hills.
Oh, it's in the hills?
Yeah.
You're right. He goes up.
Seems like Palisades.
Yeah, Palisades has to be the answer then, because we could see the ocean and he's going uphill. Next one, Wahlberg's his big speech about how hard it is to be a novelist.
Yeah.
Just some gems in here. What was your favorite part?
I think him dunking on the nerdy kid who's trying to get into his good graces, and he was just like, absolutely not. But I think probably it's just all about the unequal distribution of talent, and I love when he somehow has one of a first round draft pick NBA player, like coming a future first round draft pick, and the number 2 tennis player in the country in his class, and a genius writer.
Yeah.
That's quite a class.
It's pretty strong.
I don't remember any of those classes at Emerson.
In my classes, I had like Jacko.
Yeah. It's like I got Jabari Smith Jr.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, you're the 3rd pick of the draft. I like when he does.
I also love when he's talking to Emery Cohen about tennis, and he's like, when you realized that you were the best, what did you start to think? And he's like, oh, I started to think about the game. And he goes, that's an IQ breakpoint, brother. What the fuck? I love
don't
it.
know what that means. If you're not a genius, don't bother. The world needs plenty of electricians, and a lot of them are happy. I'll be fucked if I'd be a mid-list novelist giving good reviews to the people I give good reviews to.
Yeah. That is very funny.
And then he points out Brie Larson. At a very early Brie Larson stage of the movie.
Yeah,
for
right
her.
after, like, after
Nothing has really happened for her yet.
In the movie or in her career?
In her career. Like
she's done Short Term 12, which is like this weird, awesome movie, but is also like her, Rami Malek, and Michael B. Jordan in the same movie right before they all get famous.
Like she's 2 years away. Is it Trainwreck with Amy Schumer? 2016.
Yeah, and then
Room's right after that. She's in a couple other ones. One of those ones you always liked her, but you never kind of totally know what was going to happen with her. And then all of a sudden she became Brie Larson.
Yep.
She chooses to hide and blend in there with the rest of you. Why? And she answers, being in the middle is the safest place to be, which I think is one of the themes of the movie.
Yeah, and that's what he refuses to accept.
He doesn't want to be in the middle. He'd rather just be killed in an alley because he lost $250,000.
Because he kept stacking.
No money, no advantages. Genius is magical, not material. I mean, basically, he's that douchey guy in your hall in college who's just has these big, crazy things that he's saying about how society works. And everybody's like, fucking Tommy's going nuts over there.
Yeah. It also, like, the English teacher who smells of cigarette smoke, kind of has red eyes.
Yeah.
You know, likes the books that aren't on the syllabus.
He's definitely hooking up with one of the students.
You know, has like a kind of tattered Cormac McCarthy novel in his back pocket. And you're completely enchanted by him. You're just like, oh my God, this guy's spitting.
Professor Smith is amazing. Next one, John Goodman's first scene.
Shaving his head.
He sees 3 problems with Jim. He wants to live like a monk, he wants to dance with the devil, and he wants to borrow money to pay off debts that he can't pay off.
Associate professors, let's just say he teaches at USC, because that has to be someplace that would be a program big enough for Lamar to get considered to go to the NBA, right?
I had either UCLA or USC. I don't see if he's in LA, it has to be one of those 2 schools.
I feel like
he's
it's
not at Loyola
USC because he's
Marymount.
just in central Los Angeles a lot.
Yeah.
Associate professor makes $150K at USC? I guess that's in the ballpark, right?
Successful novelist.
No, because he says he only made $17,000 off his novel.
But people knew the novel. There was a little cabinet
Michael
for
K.
it.
Williams is like, I'm reading your novel. My favorite Frank line in this scene is when he's like, birth, education, intelligence, talent, looks, family, money. Has all of this been some real comprehensive fucking burden to you?
Right. I like that you went a little Logia. You like crossed Logia and Goodman. I need this money because I'm a scumbag gambler. Say it. Say I am not a man.
And so he won't.
Right.
He won't do that. So this is like,
he's a man of principle.
and if you go by the adage that Jim is always honest in this movie, he must part of him must think, because he keeps telling people, I am not actually a gambler.
Yeah.
This is more of a means to an end to erase something about my ego, you know?
Next, when he goes to see Lamar, and Lamar tells him he's got a knee. Jim Nance with a huge impact on this movie. It's right when Jim Nance was just skipping verbs, talking about body parts. But I really like that Lamar scene. I think it's good.
The Lamar scene is really good. And his like, I'm not happy. You know why? Because I'm teaching the modern novel to a classroom full of students who don't give a fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Casino blackjack with
Brie.
Goes to the casino with Brie, which I think is the Morongo, which I've been to.
And I have this written down as Jim's reverse 82-point game. It's how fast can I blow?
Well, he starts off by doubling down on an 18, demanding a 3 and gets it. And you just know the night's not going to go well after that happens. That is not going to be the sign that you're going to have a 4-hour run. That's usually super lucky. I have a Great Shot Gorder award for this. The fast forward is super cool.
Oh, yeah.
Really hard gimmick to pull off. It usually fails in movies. Limitless did it too.
Yeah.
Usually when people try it, it's not great.
No, it also does a good job of like all the different emotions people are going through, but he's completely static.
I have a nitpick that's too important to wait on.
Okay.
He just shows up and he's got a shitload of money and he's just dropping whatever. 2 pit bosses would be behind the dealer, like ASAP.
Saying what though?
They're just watching.
Okay.
You're just not doing that with some random dealer betting the kind. They wouldn't be like, change to 50,000. Like like the whole casino would stop. Everybody would come over behind the table.
I was gonna ask you about like what is it? How does it? Because I only play blackjack like when I go for like summer league or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't gamble up, but.
Because
How do
Sean's
you
playing poker by himself and you need somewhere
I'm
to go.
like, I guess I'm gonna get
Sean
a
gets
shrimp
headphones
cocktail.
on, turns into fucking Raymond Babbitt for 9 hours.
You're actually right. I would love to gamble, but Sean won't do it with me.
Sean's just listening to William Friedkin movies on audio in his headphones.
He's listening to director's commentary and playing fucking Hold'em against like an 80-year-old Navy veteran.
He's listening to the sisters, Brian De Palma director's
Me and Zach
commentary.
lose $120 instantaneously, and then we just go drink for the rest of the night. But how does it get translated around the room? Oh, let's go watch this guy. He's on a heater, or let's go watch this guy.
If there's that kind of money from the table, you would get the crowd behind, but you would have way more people. There would be at least 2-3 people behind the dealer. If there's that, because normally you would bet that kind of money at the high stakes table. So if you're just sitting down with the common people betting that, there's people, they'd be watching. The fucking camera's going on. I was one of my disappointments with the movie that he never like did the fuck you at the camera. Because he was such a fuck you kind of guy. I felt like, turn that fucking thing off. Like, he didn't do any of that.
I want to just mention that one of the most captivating moments of my adult life was watching Bill, House, and Chang podcast from Caesars.
The day after we gambled all night.
The morning after Chang and House had gone out for gumbo.
Yeah.
That, like, I think, did Chang sleep that night?
No.
Right. So gambled all night.
Yeah.
And just went straight out and had gumbo in some weird Joe House spot.
Yeah.
Off the strip.
And then we potted.
And then potted about like Chang winning a bone-colored chip that he had to like go fucking show his social security number
It's great. Chang is kind of like the
and
the
that's
guy
also when I learned about people betting into people from like, you can just be like, I'm going to bet on this guy. Like,
yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Chang's a little bit like Jim in The Gambler. Like, if he has a run, he's got to self-sabotage it somehow. Let's go to craps. I'm just going to start betting on random shit. Next one, Goodman's second scene.
Oh my God. The fuck you speech.
I think this is my favorite scene.
This is the best.
Okay. Everyone's been there once. If you're there twice, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Some really good wisdom in this. Do you have the brains to walk when it's time to walk? But then the big speech, I guarantee he did it from a position of fuck you. A wise man's life is based around fuck you. The United States of America is based on fuck you. You're a king. You have an army, greatest navy in the history of the world. Fuck you. Blow me. We're fucking up ourselves. He's amazing in this scene. And I actually really agree with him. I like the position of fuck you. It's this is why both of us would defend this movie to the death. Like, this movie has great themes and thoughts in it.
Yeah. And it's like every one of these guys is either trying to entice him into a life of servitude or get him to see like what he could be, you know?
Yeah.
And they're always like they're almost like these kinds of religious or spiritual tests more than they are like bookies. And I kind of love that, you know?
It's a good movie trope of just random people who aren't good people, but for some reason care about this other person that in real life they would just
I don't know why Frank cares that much. I guess the implication is that he knew Jim's dad or grandfather, the grandfather. The Neville thing, the Michael K. Williams character is basically like, I want to set up like a gambling ring that goes on for years.
The basketball game.
I wanted to ask you about this.
I thought it was solid. I actually thought it was pretty realistic.
Just too dark.
Well, because I think they probably couldn't afford fans. So
Yeah.
they had nowadays they would just CGI the fans, but we were still in that world of you had like Rocky's the worst of this.
Where it's like the lights are down, so you
they
can
have to
only
darken
see.
out the entire spectrum. So that was it. But I actually thought I kind of liked his game.
Yeah.
Who was he like? Lamar Allen.
I think he's like a proto Jabari Smith Jr.
Yeah, but he's a little shorter.
Rangy?
Though.
No, he seems like he's like 6'8".
You think he's that tall?
Yeah.
No, they listed him. He was 6'5". They showed it.
Yeah, I thought he was a little more.
We're gonna get into like what this movie communicates properly and doesn't about NCAA sports.
Okay.
I thought he was a little DeMar DeRozan-y, but almost like what Shabazz
following in DeMar's footsteps at
what
USC.
Shabazz Muhammad should have been, but wasn't. Like theoretical
You want to just
Shabazz Muhammad.
an hour and a half being like a little bit of a young Norman Powell.
Because he was like a slasher. He had like this inside-outside game, but he wasn't that big. I was fascinated by
Shabazz
it.
Muhammad
Good passing
for such a long
I
time.
know. Just never worked out for him.
Clay Anthony early, maybe,
Oh, Clay Anthony early. Then last one, the big bet. He bets black. Really good setup. Another great underbelly place we get to go into.
Yeah.
And multiple people watching him. Bets black, gets 22.
Do you think that this movie is actually saying that gambling is all chance and that there's no skill to it? Like,
No, I don't.
Did you want like a great blackjack scene at the end of this movie?
I mean, that always is my preference,
Yeah.
but I don't think the movie's interested in gambling as much as self-destruction. So the gambling is just like
Incidental.
a way for him to fuck up his life. I
Yeah.
don't think it really cares about it, which is probably, that's the thing. Like, I wanted, when I watched this the first couple of times, I wanted the gambling to matter more in the movie because I love the gambling
But
stuff.
if you view it more
But
as
now
like
I get it.
leaving Las Vegas or something, like it's just self-destruction. Yeah.
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 All right, so we have the same rewatchable scene.
Yes. Borrowing from Frank.
All right, what's the most 2014 thing about this movie? This is easy. Young Brie Larson.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
She seems like such a young pup in this, and now is Brie Larson. It was just notable to watch it.
Yeah. There was also like, this was an era of crime adjacent movies.
Yeah,
Where
like
they
Focus.
would be like, hey, Richard Schiff. Hey, Michael K. Williams. Hey, John Goodman.
Yeah,
We need you for like 4 days.
right.
Can you come in and nail this scene? And so that was like, I feel like 999, like there was a bunch of movies right around here where it was like, man, this is just like kind of trashy, but really like way more, the acting is way better than it needs to be.
That's an interesting concept, and I wonder when that started, because you think like when Jack Nicholson did the Joker,
Mhm.
and people were like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
so you
or
could have the biggest star of the movie and the
Malkovich
villain
and Con
part.
Air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that Jack Nicholson starts the villain era, and then everybody wanted the villain part. I wonder when the Dion Waiters era started, basically.
Yeah, like I can come in and just do.
Because Goodman does this in Flight, too. So that's 2012.
Yeah.
Departed, you have a lot of like really good, that's 2006.
Yep.
And you have a lot of good actors in like small part, like Baldwin's in that movie. Not that much, but just killing every scene he's in. So it's somewhere like mid 2000s when actors realize like this is a huge win for me if I crush these 4 scenes.
Yes, I'll just do this like weird Casey Affleck cop movie where I come in and I'm like a heroin dealer.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it goes all the way back to like, Gary Oldman and True Romance, shit like that.
That's actually a good
Hopper walking.
it
Maybe
might be
that's
that.
when it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's age the best? Hot girl making a wait, you're gambling again? Oh no face. When does that not work in a movie?
But the funny thing is that this relationship starts with him already in the tailspin.
Yeah.
So she's not going to be like, oh, I thought I was going to start dating Jonathan Franzen here.
I have some more thoughts on that
Okay.
later. What's age the best? I always like when in the credits when it says it was cast by Sheila Jaffe.
Yeah.
I always think she has good taste.
Yeah.
Sheila. Not quite Rewatchables category status, but
Super job, Sheila. Best casting.
best caster. I see her. I always know the movie's in good hands. How about King of Spades as an iPhone address entry?
Oh, yeah.
Do you do anything with your iPhone where you put, instead of the person's name, you put other
Oh,
stuff
like
in
a
there?
funny, Mr. like something for fantasy where it's like Mr. Friedkin.
No, I have some mean stuff in my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of agents that I have. They come up as fuckface ... on my phone, and you know who you are. Agents are the worst.
Is that a shot at Bernie Lee?
No, Bernie Lee is in my phone as Bernie Lee. I like Bernie Lee. What do you have for what's age the best? Because I have a few more.
Michael K. Williams.
Yeah.
Just awesome. Kind of, I'd forgotten that how big his part was in this movie, this most recent rewatch. And it's just so awesome watching him cook. He was
What a good
taking
actor.
promos, man. That sucks. I love the connections between the scenes of where they have like these ideas that seem to be getting passed from scene to scene.
Yeah.
So like Frank talking about like suicidal gamblers almost goes immediately into the Camus scene
Yeah.
about Jim being like, saving the 6th bullet is something no one ever noticed except for me, and that is why I am here. And that is actually a William Monahan. Like, he was like, I noticed that, and that kind of sent me down the road of writing about literature for a while.
Well, you had for a Wood Sage the best of Moynihan dipping into old departed dialogue, right?
Yeah.
What did he do?
World needs plenty of electricians.
Yeah.
World needs plenty of bartenders.
He's like, I'm just going to run that back.
Also, just got to say, man, if you put a scene in Koreatown, your movie is a B, at least.
I'm trying to think of any time Koreatown is in and the funny thing is when you go to Koreatown, which is one of my favorite places in LA and one of the best food places in the country. But if you're there at night, you feel like you're in a movie no matter where you are in Koreatown.
If you're there during the day, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, during the day, it's like, what's going on here? I have the soundtrack is just funky and weird.
Yeah, John Bryan and Theo James, I think, did it. And it's like, it
Two
has
M83 songs?
Yeah. You big M83 guy?
Not really.
Okay.
But I like that. I like the way they use the music in this. You've got a BMW M1. How are you unhappy? I'm just blind in on any line like that in a movie. I know I'm in the right hands with the movie if somebody's saying that to somebody else. Did you write this because you believed in it or because you thought it was what people wanted? She asked him at one point. Just a good idea.
Yeah.
And his answer was he probably wrote that book because he thought that's what people wanted as a book, but it didn't come from his heart, which I think is a another big theme in this movie.
The quick exchange that Neville and Jim have where he's like, you could go, like, there's only $10,000 against it at Warner Brothers, and Neville's like, it's an indie at best when they're talking about the adaptation of it.
Yeah, it's good.
Very good.
I like Lamar's third person routine. And then when he talks about himself in third person. But my favorite is Michael Kay and his crew watching the point shaving game.
Yeah.
And it becomes like the first alt gambling cast.
This is the Barstool.
Yeah,
the betting stream.
This sets up. This is on Turner. You can watch the NBA Cup quarterfinals, or there's Jalen Rose and Kirk Goldsberry and Michael K. Williams.
Yeah. And
it just keeps cutting to him, and he's like, oh, man, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. Do you think Big Cat saw this and was like, this is
Big
great?
Cat.
Yeah.
All right, next category, the Fortune 3 Clap Award for most gifable moment. What'd you have for this?
Probably Goodman shaving his head. Did you have one?
Didn't.
Not a gifable
It's
movie?
probably some sort of blackjack, him losing something, but the thing is, he didn't, and I think he played it intentionally this way, but I just don't think Bernthal would have. You didn't feel the pain of any of the losses, and I think because he was trying not to have the pain. I think Bernthal would have been more interesting with it.
Bernthal, I actually, just as soon as you were saying that, it popped into my head is just after Presumed Innocent, Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yeah.
Like watching like it come up red on him and just be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Den of Thieves, Benihana Awards, scene stealing location. You could go Koreatown. You go to the casino in the beginning. You go to the casino in the end. Where do you want?
I think I'm gonna go the last casino in Koreatown as they go down all these different levels through like the weird like cabaret singer.
Yeah.
The noodle bar. Looks like an opium den, and then into an internet cafe, and then into the casino.
By the way, if that place actually exists, I'm going there tonight.
DM me.
Yeah. Would it be weird if I took out $100,000?
Maybe that's where we should do our first gambling stream.
Right. The Michael McDonald Sweet Freedom Award for Best Needle Drop, or the Kid Cudi.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you have?
The choir singing "Creep" as he's kind of breaking up with
the
Brie
only
Larson
problem I had with that was Fincher used that in the trailer for Social Network.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was stolen valor. It's like you guys are coming in after he's already made that iconic.
Closing credits song is solid too. Is that the one you're talking about?
No. Common People is the one that Brie Larson's listening to when she's walking around campus. The Pulp song.
Yeah. Big Kahuna Burger Award for best use of food or drink. Nobody like eats or really drinks in this
cereal
movie.
Eating.
I guess the cereal.
When did you cut cereal out of your everyday?
You know, there was that first wave of how bad cereal was for you articles, and I still held on for another 7 to 10 years.
I still have Cheerios in the house.
My wife still gets it. Like she'll do like some fiber stuff or some like healthier stuff. So occasionally I'll just kind of lose it. Like almost like smoking Marlboro Reds again.
I feel like if you're going to do it now, you might as well just go back to like Honey Nut. You know what I mean? Like you might as well just have the 40 grams of sugar and say, who gives a shit? Because it's like, I don't really want to eat a bunch of like thumbtacks, but if somebody put Frosted Mini Wheats in front of me, I would probably go after it.
What was your number one cereal?
For
Just
treat
in general,
or
for
Cheerios.
life.
I just eat Cheerios.
I really loved Rice Krispies.
Yeah.
I liked hearing them crackle. I really loved Frosted Mini Wheats for a long time. Was another favorite. I liked when they would get soggy in the bottom. I can't tell you what a giant cereal guy I was in the 90s.
That's a huge
I would
cereal.
just have it for dinner.
I mean, Golden Grahams is one of the all-time greatest tastes of my life.
I still eat cereal all the time. Big cereal guy.
I love cereal.
Do you eat healthy cereal or just regular cereal?
I've pivoted to healthy cereal.
Do you think it really matters?
I honestly just like having like any kind of cornflake in milk. Toss in a banana, it's good.
Me too.
So also, this is one thing that is really underrated, is that cereal is the perfect, like, I have to go somewhere, like let's say you're going to a movie at 7, you're not going to get dinner. You get a quick bowl of cereal before you go.
It's in between a snack and a meal.
Yeah, it actually does tide you over. And also, like, you know, people
My
ate it for
sophomore
like
year in
100
college,
years.
I just basically ate cereal, and then occasionally House and I would go out and eat. But I weighed 160 pounds at one point.
In a good way or a bad way?
I was playing basketball like 5-6 days a week and just eating cereal.
Yeah.
You're just
And then
Devontae
occasionally
Smith
House
out
and I
there.
we'd go to like Papa Gino's and get all you eat pizza. And my body was like, "What's going on? What are you doing to me?" I love cereal though.
Yeah.
I might make a cereal comeback over the break.
I think we should do it. Maybe we should document it somehow.
I will say one thing. I'm not a huge like getting douchey about almond milk, soy milk, oat milk, all that stuff. But I do think almond milk's pretty good with cornflakes.
Yeah.
It's about as tolerable as it gets with almond milk. If you want to go slightly healthier.
I think that if I was going to do it, I would go back full whole milk in a bowl.
That's what I do, baby.
Yeah.
Full
What's
cow's
your
milk.
favorite kind of cereal bowl?
Deep.
Because I like the deep high ones.
Yeah.
I like to dig in.
Yeah.
I like when the cereal gets kind of soggy in the bottom.
In college in
Yeah.
Boston, I lived off Kraft mac and cheese and cereal, pretty much.
Yeah. That was
Look where
basically
we are.
Frosted Flakes was another one.
Yeah.
I would splurge every once in a while in Charlestown and go to the 99 because they have like the $9 chicken parmesan. Like I'm going chicken parm tonight.
This went longer than what's aged the best.
Cereal's great. Should we do a cereal podcast?
Yeah.
We could probably get a good video sponsorship.
I bet that would do very well.
It's like new podcast from The Ringer, the cereal podcast.
I think what we would have to do is do like a Huberman pod where you and I go on a pure cereal diet and see how it affects us.
Here's the thing about cereal. It's the most involved in people's life, but the least discussed.
Yeah.
Everyone has like favorite, least favorite cereals.
This is
it's
what
never talked about. Nobody would ever bring this up at dinner.
John Hamm says this about crude oil and Landman. This is the one thing in.
But the other thing with cereal is like people of all ages eat cereal.
Yeah.
Like your kids turn like
I'll be completely
3,
honest.
they're eating
This
cereal.
is like this is the one time where I've let the hive mind tell me what to do. Where I've let group think. Everybody's just like, this shit is so bad for you. I'm like, I guess it's bad for me. I guess I want.
I mean, you can't eat a bowl of Captain Crunch anymore. You'll like ruin
No,
your
there's
day.
certain
but like
cereals.
I should be eating Cheerios.
There's certain
I actually
cereals that
disagree
are
with
bad though, like Fruit Loops stuff with like the dye in them. That's
Yeah,
proven.
you can't
and
have,
by the way,
like-
I fucking
Do you
love
think
Fruit
Rupert
Loops.
Wyatt's listening to this and it's just like, fuck, I can't believe my work is finally being recognized, and then we go on a 10-minute fucking cereal.
Did you like Fruity Pebbles?
I was never a big Trix Fruity Pebbles guy.
Were you a cereal mixer? Because that was another thing I used to do.
I
Just
I
do
used
the
to suicide
cornflakes
it a
with
little
the
bit.
Rice
Because if you
Krispie
get the little
combo.
boxes
Yeah.
and you go Lucky Charms and Apple Jacks and just like, who gives a shit?
Loved Apple Jacks.
Yeah.
Apple Jacks are still okay, right? No?
No.
They're really sugary, but they're great. They taste amazing. Cereal's so good.
Jack, has your generation abandoned cereal?
Hell no.
Oh, good.
Honestly, people should just have it for dessert. It's starting your day with it is the problem, but just have it as a dessert.
That's what I've done a few times. I go on binges, and now, unfortunately, I'm going to go on another one with cereal. Anyway, that was the Big Kahuna Burger Award for Best Use of Food or Drink. The Butch's Girlfriend Award week link of the film.
I like Jessica Lange before you say it. I think it is a choice what she's doing, but I think what she has to say in the film is quite effective. And
I
Okay.
really like her in this
okay,
movie.
good. Just making sure.
I don't know why Brie Larson's character would like Jim.
I think that's a huge question. That's
just
a
can't
huge,
figure it out.
unanswerable question.
First scene in the movie, she sees him fucking on the self-destructive bender.
Yeah.
He's a terrible professor.
Well,
You're supposed to
In the
inspire students, and he's like, you guys all fucking suck. You
so
have no
in the
chance.
script, which I read,
Yeah.
there is another character in the movie. It was supposed to be played by Leland Orser, and he's cut out. But he's like his adversary at school. And he's basically like, you're a fucking genius, professor. Like, I hate you, but you are like the best of us.
Oh, it's one of those.
Yeah.
You used to be the best. What happened?
But I think maybe we're catching Jim at a little bit of a low point in his professorial career. Like, I think he's supposed to be like inspiring to these people.
Why is a 20-year-old bookworm at USC working at like an underground gambling ring as a waitress?
Because I think
The tips must be incredible.
But how did she even find that job? She's a book, like, I feel like that she's not exploring.
Yeah, she sits
the
in the
job
middle of
space.
class, but she's also like this illegal blackjack cocktail waitress.
And they never go back to it. She has no opinions on
I actually have an answer.
gambling.
In the research, they decided they just really liked the Brie Larson character, and they were just looking for things to shoehorn her
They beefed her
into.
up a little bit. Yeah.
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 I have no idea why she likes him. It makes no sense. And there's got to be 2 scenes of them where they talk about cereal that's just got taken out of the final part of
Yeah,
the
I
movie.
just think that this is a 2-week relationship. This goes hot and heavy. And then the second Wednesday that he's like still like moaning about how he's not Dostoevsky, she's like, I gotta try something else here.
Do you believe in the students getting involved with the professor as a Hollywood thing or a thing that happens in real life?
I think that it did happen for a very long time. I mean, there are a lot of novels about a professor who gets really horny for his student.
That
is like the bedrock of Philip Roth's career, right? Like,
we had one in college. A friend of
Did
mine
you?
got involved with the professor. And when she told me, I was like, it was like, you could have told me.
a TA or like an actual like graying professor?
No, it was a professor.
Was he an English teacher?
Not gonna give any more info than that. But I was like so blown away. I was like, and you're in his class? Like I couldn't believe it.
I feel like it
What a
happens
podcast
less
this is.
now.
Yeah. Well, I would hope so.
Yeah. This is probably, I have this as which is the worst, but like this is like,
Getting involved with your professor?
it's kind of wild to watch this movie and be like, oh wow, like Brie Larson's probably 21 in this movie and he's supposed to be 40.
He's a degenerate fucking maniac gambler, 40-year-old just getting involved with his TA.
Yeah, the movie ending with him running for 9 miles to a 20-year-old's dorm.
Yeah.
A little
It's
weird.
stiff.
Yeah.
A little weird. Anyway, that was a weak link for me. What do you have, CR?
Weak link, I thought would just be the fact that there's just not very sophisticated gambling going on. So, like, I think that when you don't get enough gambling movies that we can get a gambling movie where there's just no real skill or like strategy deployed, that it's just like stacking and it's just destruction. That being said, it is a very like entertaining thing to watch to see this guy do this.
Can I make a suggestion? You know how I always talk on the Rewatchables, and we've done almost 370 movies at this point, about how I can't believe anyone making a sports movie wouldn't just call. Maybe do we have to start a sports movie consultancy, whatever. I also think I should be gambling consultant for these, because I would have told them, scrap the blackjack, go right to craps. Much more fun as for movies in a Vegas thing. Just craps. There's more going on. There's more people. There's dice. There's things thrown in the air. There's guys pulling in. You can bet on all these different things. I just think it works
It's
better.
also like Wahlberg lives in Nevada now. Like I assume he gambles, right?
Right. Blackjack's just so generic. And they use like these big square things. I don't know. The Mallory Rubin Award for Did This Movie Need a Better Sex Scene?
Probably not. Because that would
Probably because it would have been weird because she's like 20.
She jumps him,
Yeah.
but they don't show it. Yeah.
We'll never know Mallory's thoughts.
I don't think Mal's seen this.
What tastes the worst other than stuff we've mentioned? I wrote down Wahlberg's hair looks like he's a 1974 right wing in the Flyers.
He's like Rick Tocchet.
He's on Dave Schultz's line. Like, what the hell is this haircut?
I assume this was like he had come off another movie or was going on to another, and it just looks like he's got like 18
strange.
wraparound hair, like strands.
There's like stuff in the back.
Yeah.
It's just really strange. The guy who plays Dexter,
Emery Cohen.
I wrote down he's like David Arquette after a stroke.
Do you know who he is? He was just in Rebel Ridge.
That's the same Emery Cohen. Why did he play this part of Dexter like this?
This is right after or right around Place Beyond the Pines, I think. And he
Yeah.
was like a hot young actor.
She's going for it?
Yeah, he's awesome. I like it. You don't like it?
I don't.
Okay.
He reminds me of Timothy Hutton's brother, played by David Arquette in Beautiful Girls. Say, hey, you think you'd be here for a while? I'm gonna go take a shit. I have two big ones.
He would definitely be the coolest, weirdest number 2 player in the country of all in tennis history.
Yeah, tennis players are super boring, just in general.
Yeah.
No, but no tennis player has even half as much weird personality. Speaking of tennis, what stage the worst? Jessica Lange's tennis, just abysmal. I don't like her outfit. They have to do the close cuts of her because she's doing a serve. She's serving like this.
Yeah.
Like there's just nothing going on there. Would have gone golf maybe for that scene.
Oh, like, but that would take out Dexter being her tennis instructor, which I thought was another sort of awkward
Maybe play
thing.
doubles with him
Sure.
to try to hide the tennis more. Just wasn't good enough.
But like, well, now she's playing pickleball, right?
Yeah, or padel.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Paddle?
What are you talking about? I don't even know.
Padel.
Do they try to make pickleball sound more
Peter
interesting?
Schrager's always trying to get me to get excited about paddle.
Is that a different
Padel?
game or is that pickleball?
I thought it was pickleball.
No, it's like the kind of more tolerable pickleball.
Oh, is it like squash versus racquetball version?
Yeah.
What kind of
pickleball?
ball do you use?
It's more like it's basically paddle tennis, but now it's got a rebrand. And paddle tennis is kind of fun. Pickleball should be shot into the sun, and everybody who plays it should have to atone for their sins when they die. What's age the worst? Broke college players pre-NIL. Now now Lamar is just getting, Chick-fil-A sponsorship.
The collective has come through for Lamar.
Yeah.
Also, hard to imagine sports science being what it is that he can hide whatever's going on with his knee.
Yeah, this is like a 1982 plot.
Also, like, we'd just be like, just get surgery. You're a junior. Like,
Yeah. I had that as well. I think if he was this good, he would have come out as a sophomore.
I agree.
Why is he in college for 3 years? Get the fuck out of there, Lamar. Go make some cash.
Maybe he loved the works of Albert Camus and
Maybe.
the teachings of Jim Bennett.
Ruffalo Hand and Rubeneck Partridge overacting award. Professor Wahlberg dialing it up.
The Shakespeare speech. Awesome.
Really trying hard.
Although
Going Oscar
laying
clip
outside
on
of the
it.
bank being like, do I embarrass you?
Yeah, she's in there too. Was there a better title for this movie? No. The Can You Dig It award for most memorable quote, a wise man's life is based around fuck you.
Do you agree with this philosophy? You get a house with a 25-year roof and an indestructible Japanese economy shitbox, and you put the rest in the system at 3 to 5% to pay your taxes, and that's your base?
That's what I've been telling you for 6 years.
I keep playing blackjack with it. That's why I still work for you. I need the money.
The CR thinks Luke Wilson could have been Harrison Ford hottest take award.
I got one.
Yep.
Is this movie more interesting if the central relationship is just Jim and Lamar?
We don't have Brie Larson
Take
at
her
all.
out. Just
She's gone.
Like, do the new cut. If you take Brie Larson and just edit her out of the movie, with all due respect,
Why would we do that?
Because
I love Brie Larson.
Because the Lamar relationship is almost more unique.
So 2
and
more
interesting.
Lamar scenes.
Yeah. And the ethics of whether or not he can ask Lamar to do this and why Lamar is doing it. What's Lamar's deal? What does Lamar think of Shakespeare?
It's an interesting idea. So Lamar's just basically blown up into a much bigger character.
Yeah, you basically have like a lottery pick to be and a self-destructive professor is like the kind of central relationship. Brie Larson's scenes are not integral to the story.
And it becomes an Adam Sandler
no, I mean, you give it the same movie.
with the Safdie brothers.
Yeah.
And Lamar.
Yes.
And then
He's
Lamar
Kevin
gets
Garnett.
shot at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. My hottest take. I don't know what Wahlberg's legacy is going to be as an actor, but he has worked with, I think, the best collection of very attractive actresses at the perfect times of their career. I'm just going to go through a list. And I'm not really counting Reese Witherspoon in Fair because that was a little early for her, but he did catch the Reese Witherspoon train pretty early.
Yeah.
Heather Graham, Boogie Nights, Diane Lane, Perfect Storm, Charlize, The Italian Job, Elizabeth Banks, Invincible, Kate Mara, Grantland Hero, and Shooter.
Yeah.
Your girl Amy Adams in the Fighter.
My girl.
Mila Kunis and Ted, and Brie Larson in The Gambler, and that's all within 20 years. Craig, it's impressive.
Great work by him. No
Also,
notes.
Like really, really good taste.
Ronda Rousey in Mile 22.
I didn't have her in there.
Who do you think he had the best chemistry with? Because I think it might be Brie, even though I've just made the case for cutting her out of the
It's
film.
good in Pre, but I mean, Charlize in The Italian Job,
Okay.
I actually had to replace a plasma TV because she burned out the bulb. She was so crazy hot in that movie.
Did we do Vincent Chase?
No, but we can.
May I ask you something?
Yeah.
Would bookies be this permissive?
No. It's a lot of money.
It's like there's a cap on this, right?
Yeah.
Like these guys all know what he's doing. And it seems like obviously for the story, it makes it really interesting to give him 7 days. It's got like the countdown element to it.
With juice.
But like, why would you give this guy $240,000? Like, is it just because they think they can then go after his mother and take her house? Like, and liquidate
Movie trope.
Yeah.
It's too much money. It's too much money. It like probably like 25K would be a lot. So I'm with you.
Okay.
Casting what ifs. Paramount got the rights in 2011, and it was supposed to be Scorsese and Leo and Moynihan Monahan as they call it, the CR Dream Team,
the Departed Trio. Yeah.
Yeah, and Scorsese dropped out. Todd Phillips in there for a second.
Yeah.
Known to gamble from time to time.
Is he?
In a pretty famous game in LA.
Oh.
Yeah. And he dropped out, and then Wahlberg and Wyatt came in.
Okay. Not a lot of casting stuff for this.
No. Well, this is the problem, is we haven't had enough time since the movie was made
to be like, oh,
for the internet to make up stuff. Yeah. It's like Ben Affleck was in there.
This would be an interesting Affleck role.
I'm sure he was
a little
jealous
older.
Of it. No, he was at the right time of his in 14. He was at the right age, right? That was like his.
He's
Gone
a
Girl
couple
age.
years older than Wahlberg, right?
They're around the same age. Yeah. Best That Guy award. It's got to be Dom from Entourage and The Wire.
I kind of think of him as Dominic Lombardozzi. So I was going to ask you, could we throw this to Marcus Johnson as the color guy during the basketball game?
Oh, that's interesting. So you think he's Dominic Lombardozzi now?
To me, he is.
What do you think, Craig?
None of these guys are ever Dominic Lombardozzi to me.
Yeah, I don't think people. I think to us he's that, but I think most people are like, "Hey, it's Dom from Entourage."
Yeah.
And, oh, the guy from The Wire. This guy is quite an IMDb, by the way.
Lombardozzi?
Yeah, because you know what else he was in? You know, Miami Vice.
Yeah, he's one of the cops, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
So he played that crazy Vince's cousin character or friend, whoever. What was he? Vince's friend, or he was
on Entourage.
He was his buddy. He had like a 3-episode
arc. He's his buddy from back east, right?
Yeah. He was Detective Stan Switek on Miami Vice.
Yeah.
He was also in For Love of the Game as the tow truck driver. He's been in a lot of rewatchables, kind of secretly.
Yeah.
He was in, maybe not that many. I like that guy.
He was in The Irishman.
Yeah.
He was in Bridge of Spies, Gambler. Yeah. Public Enemies. He's worked with Man a couple of times. He was in SWAT.
Dion Waiters. John Goodman is the winner.
Yeah.
Michael K. Williams is in it too much, I think.
Yeah, he's got like 5-6 scenes.
Shout out to Omega Watch guy, the guy who's trying to buy his
from
Omega Watch.
Yeah.
Recasting couch director City. I already had Bernthal as Wahlberg. This is the Bernthal part I've wanted for 7 years.
I think this is what American Gigolo was supposed to be for him.
Never got there.
Yeah.
You have anything for this?
For this, I think it would be cool if it had been like Oscar Isaac or Ethan Hawke. Like a kind of like a little bit more of a
You
bookish.
like Oscar Isaac more than me.
I know.
You know why I don't like Oscar Isaac for this? Because it's not like an incredible movie. And I don't know if he doesn't bring unintentional comedy for me.
That's a good point. Do you think Ethan Hawke would? Gyllenhaal certainly would.
Gyllenhaal definitely, but now Gyllenhaal's almost shaded too far toward the and I don't even know if he's being unintentionally funny. I think
he might think that like if you were like, can you lose some weight for this part? He'd come back looking like the guy in Nightcrawler.
Right.
And you'd be like, well, this isn't really effective.
He's like, Wahlberg lost 50 pounds. I'm going to lose 80. Romo Collinsworth or someone else for the director's commentary.
I see you, Mr. Allen. You're getting to your spots, making your shots, and keeping the score strangely within the spread. You may have degenerative cartilage damage, but your mid-range game is strong. We salute you, sir.
I should know that was coming. I'm just because he took the North Carolina job this week. I'm going to go Bill Belichick because he's not doing media anymore.
No, he is. You see, he's going to do McAfee still.
That won't last.
Okay.
I don't see that happen. Yeah, Jim's got to do better with blackjack. He's, when you're stacking bets like that, you gotta cash some of the chips and put them in your pocket because eventually the odds of winning 8 straight bets, you're just not gonna win 8 straight bets. You're just not gonna. Nobody's that good.
But we're on to Morongo.
Nobody's that good at all. Half-Assed Center Research. This was George Kennedy's last movie.
Yeah.
Tough last movie for George. She just looks brutal. Here's one. Each day in the movie, Jim's shirt color gets lighter. Starts all black and starts getting lighter, and then by the end, it's white.
And when he's finally free.
Yeah. See, a lot of deep shit going on in this movie. Craig, how many pounds do you think Mark Wahlberg lost in this movie?
He's pretty thin in this movie. I bet you he lost 40.
He lost 61 pounds.
CR.
He went from 198 pounds to 137 pounds. Liquid food, vegetables, a workout of strictly cardio. And he wanted to be 137 because the thinnest he'd ever been for a movie was Boogie Nights at 138. And he wanted to be 1 pound lighter. And he said he would never, ever do this again.
He doesn't even look that bad. When he's shirtless, he doesn't look like that emaciated to
it's
me.
like kind of heroin chic.
Yeah.
Basketball Diaries era.
Also, you mentioned this earlier, but he sat in on college courses around different colleges and analyzed professors and their mannerisms.
Can you imagine, like, you're going to fucking the modern novel and Wahlberg sitting there? He's like, don't mind me. You don't have to fucking look at me. Look at him. He's teaching.
Say hi to your mother for me. Can you imagine, like, you're like a Loyola Marymount poli-sci professor and, like, Wahlberg's coming to your class for a week and you're so excited for the gambler to see how Wahlberg...
And that's how it's represented.
It's like, oh my God, is that what he saw? And then he wins on 22 black at the end. So in the sting, Redford bets on the roulette wheel and it lands on 22 black.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know if that was intentional.
I'm sure it was. Monahan, they pretty much shot Monahan's script. There's scenes excised, but there's nothing really like fundamentally changed about it.
Apex Mountain, Wahlberg, no. Lang, no. Brie Larson, no.
Not blackjack, right? On screen.
No.
What's the best blackjack movie?
Serial?
Well, that's an interesting point. They never really like show us what the cereal is. It looks like he's eating like crackling oat bran or something. Are we going back to cereal now?
I had it written down.
This is Apex Mountain for serial conversations. I think this podcast.
Serial, gambling, no. Michael K. Williams, no. Shaving points in a movie? Blue Chips.
Blue Chips.
Omega watches?
In film.
Watching basketball indoors with sunglasses on?
That definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. We finally got one. You asked best blackjack scene. I really have to think about that and maybe come back. I don't know. I don't want to just give that answer just quickly.
This might be actually Apex Mountain for cocktail waitresses in movies. Because between Brie Larson and the woman at the horse track when she's like, this kid's like the grandson of the 16th richest man in California. And she's like, does he drink?
Well, so I'd be with you on that, but what about swingers?
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Dorothy.
Yeah, that's true.
Best blackjack scene in a movie.
Well, there's Rain Man, right?
It's probably Rain Man. Casino Royale, they're playing poker.
Yeah.
I'd have to think. I'll have an answer in a later pod. I really want to research this because I don't want to leave anything out.
Open guess the lines with
Rain Man is the best. I think
Hangover, do they actually play that much? I mean,
Hangover, they do it.
But they're just making fun of Rain Man and Hangover.
Yeah. They play poker in California Split, right?
Yeah. All right, I just Googled this. 21 was a movie built around blackjack.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Kevin Spacey
I didn't really like that movie
that
much, though. And then, man, really not a lot of great black. I'm sure there is. Maybe the listeners will have one.
Yeah, I think it's mostly poker because poker actually takes strategy and like skill, and the hands have like arcs to them, whereas blackjack's just like, oh, fuck.
Maybe somebody someday will make the movie about my blackjack career where eventually all my friends leave and it's 3 a.m. and they're vacuuming
and
under
then
my feet.
Jacoby comes back.
Yeah, Jacoby's like, how are you still awake?
Yeah.
Cruise or Hanks?
This is easily Cruise to me.
Easily. This
I
is
could
the
see it.
easiest cruise in a while.
Yeah.
And it made me think like this actually
It
would have been an
awesome
incredible
movie.
cruise. What
Yeah.
year though? What year of cruise?
After like 90.
2002?
Like the firm era. Oh, I'm
you
thinking
go
younger. Yeah.
How old do you want him to be?
Like 35? Is that too? So what? How old is he in?
So maybe right after Jerry Maguire?
Yes.
Like Vanilla Sky
right
Cruise?
around then.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think you're right. Decided. Cruz needed it. So he's 3 back.
Yep, 19 to 16. Has Cruz ever been a professor? I would love to see Cruz molding young minds.
I mean, he does that. He teaches film to all of us.
He's been a student in Cocktail.
Yeah.
He's been a lawyer, but he's never been a teacher, right?
Cruz doing the first
Oh, he's a
professor
teacher in
scene.
Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He's an instructor.
Yeah.
Racehorse, rock band, wrestler, or fantasy team name. I'll give you Lamar's Point Shavers or King of Spades.
I had Mr. Lee's.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Pick a nits.
Got a few.
I mean, Lamar needs his senior year to boost his draft stock. With that, what is this, 1974?
Right.
Like that, when was the last year anyone said those words with college basketball?
He's a second
Again,
round
the sports
pick.
consultant's right here.
Yeah.
Come on. Wahlberg gets the shit beaten out of him, I think 3 times more severely than his actual injuries.
The Korean nail place where he gets fucking drop kicked.
Multiple broken ribs.
Yeah. Concussion.
I think he has a broken orbital bone at one point. Definitely maybe a hairline fracture of the skull.
Yeah.
Concussion. He's fine.
You're absolutely right.
What else would you have?
Well, crucial sports czar error is that Neville says Lamar's playing Michigan. And then when they actually get to the game, the team he's playing against is the Bulldogs, which is not Michigan Wolverines. And it's also in conference. It's the conference semifinal.
Oh, I didn't even
And I'm like, come on. I mean, now USC and Michigan are in the Big Ten together. But in 2014, this wasn't happening.
Great one.
How does Jim know that Amy is this genius? Like, how many pieces has he read by her that he's like, she is the one person in this generation who's actually talented?
I don't know.
Because it's a lit class. So
scene.
how much,
Yeah.
like, is he just reading her, like, essays and stuff? And
Yeah, we need a scene where he's at his desk reading the paper.
The only other thing is that Frank doesn't really live by his teachings, because if you're in a position of fuck you, like, why are you also a loan shark? That seems like an unnecessary...
Why are you helping people who aren't going to pay you back?
Yeah.
My 2 big ones. So they just give Lamar, they're going to fix the game. Hey, we put a big giant bag of cash in your locker. It's not suspicious at all.
Well,
It's a giant big gym bag right in the locker.
Since we're talking about the basketball game, can I do 2 of my unanswerable questions that are also nitpicks?
Yeah.
What was Jim's bet? So it's...
Oh, I have all this later.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll do it in unanswerable.
All right.
What's the other question?
What would happen if Danny Hurley had been coaching that team? God damn it, Lamar! There's no way Lamar gets back in the game.
He's
Jesus fucking Christ!
sinking to his knees.
Yeah. He's fucking crying because Lamar missed a mid-range jumper. Didn't run horns properly.
The giant bag of cash in the locker is ludicrous.
Should I make Danny Hurley the new Wayne Jenkins?
I'll throw him in there. you had to commit to it though and fall to the ground. End of Lamar's game, so they're up 7. It's like 5-7. Then they have the ball near the end. The other team's not fouling, and they're also not dribbling out the clock.
Yeah,
it's idiotic.
Yeah, he's going early possession shots when all you have to do is like choke the game out.
Also, like sports consultant yet again. Can't believe I'm not hired for these. The move should have been they foul Lamar with like 3 seconds left, up 7, and he goes to the line, and you don't know whether he's going to make it or not.
Right.
And he's shooting the free throw, and then it cuts to Michael K. Williams celebrating.
Instead,
it was like, oh, he's just going to shoot up 7 with 1 second left?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is this? This never happened.
Why is it that when Lamar's practicing on his own, he's like playing in the gym that Zoe used to play middle school basketball?
Yeah. He's supposed to be at USC. It's supposed to be like a giant gym. Sequel, prequel, prestige, TV, all black cast, or untouchable. There's a prestige TV case for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I would love
some big ideas.
A show about Los Angeles's underground gambling culture.
Yeah.
And bookies, but like a
Sounds
professor.
great.
It's awesome.
Starring David Chang. Sounds unbelievable.
When John Goodman shows up at Major Domo and he's like, I will fucking take this place over.
I am not here for the BS fries. Is this movie better with Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Danny Hurley, Sid Goldberg, Sam Jackson, JT Walsh, Nell, Byron Mayo, Harley Mays, Evil Laughing Ramon Raymond, Longlegs, or Philip Baker Hall? Should we get rid of a couple of these before the end of the year?
Let's do a little bit of accounting here. Let's do an audit.
Who has never won? The Sid Goldberg, maybe we had a nice run with Sid.
We have never done Raymond Ramon.
Yeah, all right, I'll get rid of him. It's fair.
I like it, but it's just like we've never done that. I think
JT Walsh, I guess we could get rid of.
Yeah.
Sorry, JT. Sid Goldberg, we could probably get rid of.
Okay. He's pretty obscure.
Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Sam Jackson, Nell, Byron Mayo, Harley Mays, Longlegs, or Philip Baker Hall.
Or Danny Hurley.
Danny
Hurley.
For any sports movie.
Jesus fucking Christ, Jim!
What the fuck are we doing?
Are you hitting on 18? Get the fuck over here! That's a pretty obscure cut for people who don't follow UConn's Maui Invitational press conferences.
We need somebody else at the ringer to hold you back from the microphone as you're screaming.
Yeah.
I would say Sam Jackson in this movie wouldn't have been a bad thing.
Sam Jackson is Neville, and Sam Jackson and Goodman in the same movie would have been awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what Sam Jackson, could he have been like, how do we work him in?
He could be, Andre Braugher is in one scene in this movie as the dean.
Yeah, that was another one. Like, why do we have Andre
I'm
Braugher
sure
for
there's
one
more
scene?
dean stuff in the script, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one Oscar, who gets it? Goodman. All right, I have some really good unanswerable questions. So Jim wrote a book called Uphill Both Ways that they show the cover of. What was this book about? Book of fiction? Uphill Both Ways. What does that even mean?
I wonder whether it's like it's like supposed to be like a Demon Copperhead, like working class tale, but it just didn't ring true because it wasn't really like what his experience was.
Or you don't think it was like an adult Catcher in the Rye?
I mean, that's what he is, right?
Yeah.
As long as I wonder, would you read a book called Uphill Both Ways?
I would never read any book like that, ever. No. The answer is no. Is $2.5 million really fuck you money? Because
in 2014,
John Goodman really felt committed to that specific figure. It wasn't 2, it wasn't 3.
Well, because Jim was like, I've been up
2.5
million.
So John Goodman just decides that's a great number. I'm good with that. Okay. How many miles does he jog at the end? Because it seems like he goes from Koreatown.
I don't think it's that
all the
far.
way to the Arts District.
No, I think she lives in. It's what is it, like the Los Altos apartments? I don't know if that's real.
Yeah, that's what they're called, I think.
But those actually exist? Los Altos apartments.
It's on Wilshire.
Oh, Wilshire and what?
It's on Wilshire and Bronson.
Yeah, like Wilshire and Wilton.
So it's actually not that far of a run.
That's like a fucking 1 mile run. What are they doing? At one point, he's in downtown LA for some reason.
Yeah, I know.
So did he run all the way down here and then run back?
I think they say it's Koreatown and he actually starts down by like Grand Street or something.
Or maybe he's in, but they say Koreatown though, right?
Well, maybe he's so fucking hungry because he's just been eating
Chinatown
cereal the entire time that he runs down into downtown by accident.
Is it possible he's in Chinatown?
No, they said it's Koreatown. They're like, come to the Koreatown spot.
to Los Altos. That's like a mile.
Yeah. Like you said, a very exciting mile.
Jesus. I feel completely disillusioned by this. All right. I figured out exactly how much money Jim owed.
Thank
you ready?
Yeah.
He owed the Korean $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
He owed Michael K $60K. He got $260K from Frank with 10% juice. And he got $100K from the Korean with 10% juice. And he had to pay Lamar $150K before the game, which gave him $210K left.
Then he gives...
But he owed $310, $286, and $60. So he owed $656,000, and he had $210 left, which he bet on the basketball game.
He also gives Dexter $50,000.
I haven't gotten that yet. He wins on the basketball game, bets $210 to win $200 on the basketball game. So now he's got $410. So he pays the $60K to Michael K.
Mhm.
He's got $350 left, but he owed $596
To
the
Frank
two bad
and
guys.
Mr. Lee.
Offers $50K to Dexter, doesn't take it. So he still has the $350. So
Also, Dexter being like, I'm going to go pro in tennis and I'm going to maybe
yeah,
make $50K.
Dexter's a
Come on.
moron. Terrible character. Bets $350 on black and wins. So now he has $700. Everyone gets paid and then some, which is why Goodman at the end says, I got an extra $100 for you. Because,
oh, right. It's the cream on top, right?
So he actually won more money than he owed, which I think is very stealth in the movie, but it's what happened.
He just wants to be free. He doesn't want to actually be
So
up
he
again.
gives those guys the extra and then Goodman gets it. And that, I think, is how the money shook out.
Okay, so what was that Michigan game, the Lamar game, paying out then?
So he paid Lamar $150, and his cut was probably $150, which is I would say they probably got 30 to 35% of the cut.
Okay,
so maybe those guys each won $500K, something like that. Because if you're getting
it's a
paid
big
out
enough
for,
bet that Neville knows about it after the fact, where he's like, I heard somebody showed up in Vegas and like smashed this like the money line or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best double feature choice. 2 for the Money or the Original Gambler?
Original Gambler. Yeah.
Which first or second?
No, I watched the Jimmy Conn movie.
I know, but would you watch it first or second?
I would watch this second as like a palate cleanser because the Jimmy Conn movie is very like, very, very serious.
The Indian Reds want an Air Award for what happened the next day.
So Jim
just wrote down Jim get dumped.
I had Jim gets canceled. What's the fucking social media is gets a hold of Jim? And it's like, this guy slept with a student and
fixed the
fucking
game.
Shaved college basketball Pac-10 conference game. And then also he gets driven insane when Amy writes like a Sally Rooney novel and becomes hugely famous. And
I don't even think they make it that long.
Yeah.
What piece of memorabilia would you want from this movie? I could offer you the sunglasses. I could offer you the duffel bag that held the $50K.
That was a nice bag.
Jessica Lange's tennis racket.
Could I get Jim's like Topanga Canyon house or Beechwood
pretty
Canyon?
nice
Like it's a
house.
pretty
I like
cool
that.
house.
I like that.
Is it Laurel? Like where's he living?
It feels like a little Beechwoodish.
You don't want uphill both ways?
Oh, that's true.
Signed. I want Uphill Both Ways.
The actual
signed.
book of Uphill Both Ways. Yeah, that's great.
I love that it's
Good
being
call, Craig.
featured in the hallway of the English department.
Coach Finstock award best life lesson: always be in a fuck you position.
Oh, I actually said you owe somebody money. Don't fuck around.
Okay. Who won the movie?
I'm going to say Monahan, the screenwriter, just because this is like unvarnished, his thing. I think that a lot of like the characters are speaking from his POV. These are his like riffs on society and existence. And I think it's more or less a vehicle for like his kind of musing. So I'm going to go William Monahan.
I like that.
You go Goodman?
Yeah, I think I am.
Because if
love
that
Goodman.
Goodman part isn't that good, if it's like
movie falls apart.
yeah, if it's
Or if
like
that's somebody
D'Onofrio,
overacting.
yeah,
somebody trying too hard. All right, Craig had never seen this movie. It did come out in the last 10 years, which is a bonus.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I had never heard of it. I don't know if is that surprising to you that I've
no,
never
I
heard
mean,
of
I
this?
think that there's a lot of probably mid-10s movie that fall into obscurity before you start like watching stuff.
Yeah. As usual, I liked this movie more after hearing you guys talk about it for 90 minutes. But it's more memorable. It will be more memorable than it deserves to be, I think, for me. It's kind of the Jordan Poole of movies, but parentheses complimentary. Because like the movie puts up 34, but a very inefficient 34.
Yeah.
It's like
inefficient.
12 for 18 or 12 for 28, 34 points, but like a couple incredible threes.
Gets punched once.
Absolutely like backbreaking turnovers.
Yeah, right. But there are moments, like the highlights are great. And I mean, I don't know. I think that there are misses in this movie, but ultimately what I like is that there are 5 really good actors kind of just playing dress up and going for it. And ultimately I respect that. And I think I see less and less of that nowadays. And like watching Mark Wahlberg, Goodman, Michael K, Brie Larson, all these people being like, yeah, we're going to try to win an Oscar and we're going to really go for it in kind of an overwritten gambling movie.
Yeah.
It's just fun to see them all collectively agreeing to do it.
There used to be like a Howard Hawks saying about like how many good scenes a movie needed for the movie to be good. This has enough to make me rewatch it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you need 5 to
I also think 5 years from now, you're going to be like, I really like this movie.
I think so too. I think the movie to me hinges, it became unintentionally funny when his big speech as a professor in the classroom, like he wanted that to, like in his head, that's like the Lydia Tarr scene.
Yeah.
But it doesn't play. And I think after that, you're like, okay, this is now a different movie in my head.
Yeah.
Still very memorable.
I think
but
he obviously did a lot of research. I've made this joke before when talking about this, but like he's almost like he's reading phonetically.
Yes.
Like I don't know that he knows what he's saying in that scene
Right.
Yes.
as an actor.
Whereas like Bernthal would have crushed it.
Yeah, or
Ruffalo would
he's
have
so
been really
slick
good.
with it. I almost don't even know what he's saying because he's running through it so fast. Like he's memorized it and he's trying to
like
get
he's
through it.
emphasizing weird parts of the
Yes.
speech. Yeah.
It's like when we found out that the lady Colin Farrell hooks up with the Miami Vice, didn't speak English and memorized all the phonetic sounds of her dialogue. And it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Mark Wahlberg did.
Possibly. That's a good point.
All right. That review didn't surprise me at all because I didn't really like this movie that much the first time I saw it, but it kept my interest and made me more mad than anything.
Yeah.
And now 10 years later, I've arrived at a great place.
This is just a really good, like, Sunday afternoon. There's nothing to watch. The 4 o'clock NFL games suck. Just throw this on. You won't be sorry.
I'll tell you another thing about this movie. People are watching it.
Are they?
It's always on in the Showtime bundle if you're flicking the cable guide.
Yeah, it's on
You'll
Paramount
see the
Plus.
Gambler. It's on Paramount.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's out there. It reminds me of what happened with Focus, which was another movie that I don't think did that.
Yeah.
We did that on the Rewatchables too, but that was another one that it was like, I think I like that, but it had some flaws.
The truth is that you and I are very easy dates if it's about sports or gambling.
Yeah, or the criminal underbelly.
Or the criminal underbelly of either. Yeah.
I think Focus exploded on streaming in the last year.
Because of Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
And Will Smith, because he punched Chris Rock. CR, a
Great
pleasure
to
as
see you.
always. Craig and Jack, thank you for producing. You can watch this on the Ringer Movies YouTube channel as well. And we will see
and subscribe to Ringer Cereal if you haven't gotten a chance yet.
Ringer Cereal, Ringer TV, Ringer Movies.
Yeah, 10 years ago, what really started podcasting was Serial, the podcast. And now it's a new one.
Yeah.
Just spelled a little differently.
And we have an actual Christmas movie next week.
That's right.
Yeah, very excited about that. See you then.